San Francisco has one of the nation's highest concentrations of homeless.
If you're not cut out for it, you're not going to make it. If you're cut out for it, you can survive.
I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. I was married and everything.
You have to sell your body to shower?
A lot of us women have to do that.
Everybody that you see on the left that's standing up is selling drugs. Everybody that's sitting down is using or holding drugs. I chose drugs over my family, and that's what led me to my homelessness.
Needing a home is not the only crisis. Families finding housing is a challenge.
I'm like really in a situation by myself. It's so hard. I've never really.
So how is the city tackling those needs?
This is your car and also your home now. ¿Y tus hijos and your kids? You have them with your neighbor because it's not too cold.
I mean, we have them all. You know, we have people in tents, we have people in RVs and vehicles, we have families in RVs and vehicles.
Is there enough shelter?
No.
We've never been able to stay in the same place because we've been paying a lot of rent.
Many on the streets are not just homeless. They have lost their homes, are lost on the streets, and lost in the system. They are home lost.
I'm trying to find a permanent home for so long. It's just tough.
Nellie migrated to the U.S. from Central America hoping for a better life. She's taken cleaning jobs to pay rent and put food on the table. They were forced out of their apartment after struggling to pay rent. They've been homeless for a year. Nellie's family members also lost their home. Their RVs are parked close to each other.
I'm sleeping here with my dogs, my two kids, and my husband is sleeping in the front. Arriba hay mucha bulla también, pero
it's really noisy.
Ella me dice, "Mamá, podemos orar."
And she says, "Mom, can we pray?"
Y
oran, you guys
sí,
pray.
oramos y ya nos quedamos dormidos.
And then you fall asleep. You have bad dreams?
It's just like this is moving a lot, and then there's noise back there, and then I have to close the window over there, and the windows, but it's too hard to see.
Every other week, Nellie has to buy enough gas to keep the lights on and drive this van to collect water for her family. All to give her kids a sense of normalcy.
Just like you have to get fast showering.
You have to shower fast? And how many days a week?
Like 4.
Today, they ran out of water. 7-year-old Suleika told us she's hoping to shower soon.
Able to do that today?
I go for free water in YMCA because if I go to other store, more money. So I go to YMCA to 12 a.m. I go because nobody sees me. Nobody sees you, you know. Before I live in Geneva, Mission, one room I pay for $1,300 for one room. So it's a lot of money.
And now?
Now I pay $800. $800 I pay every month.
So you're renting the RV. This is not yours.
Yes.
Nellie and her 2 kids sleep in the same bed. Suleika described her dream home.
Like 1.5 like kitchens and like it works.
A kitchen that works? What else would you like?
Just for my own room.
Nellie worries about leaving her kids in the RV alone when they come home from school and she goes to work.
Me voy a trabajar y los dejo solo aquí. Y a veces no tengo quien me les dé comida. Pues el niño grande no le digo que prenda la estufa porque está muy pequeño y no quiero que tampoco se vaya a encender todo esto. Sí, ellos me preocupan mucho. Y y también, pero al mismo tiempo me dan la fuerza para seguir adelante, porque siento que un día les voy a dar un buen lugar donde vivir. Sí. Un día yo los voy a sacar de aquí.
While Nellie hopes for the future, just a few miles away, an army of volunteers are gearing up to count the number of homeless people living on the streets.
Please stay with your team. Don't wander off. And it'll definitely be a buddy system so we could cover that ground a little bit more smoother and be more efficient. And then let's be safe.
Every 2 years, cities across the country receiving federal funding to address homelessness are required to perform a point-in-time count to identify the number of homeless people on a given night in January.
People who are outreach workers and a whole number of volunteers fan out across their area and literally try to count everyone who might be outside. At the same time, people who are in places like homeless shelters, those numbers are provided to the count. The point-in-time count is mandated by HUD, or the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
We're probably going to pass up a few people that we don't think is homeless, but really are. It's hard to get a real accurate count from what I'm seeing, but we're going to try our best.
Like any one method of counting a population that's very hard to count, it's not perfect. And it's really not, in a way, meant to be perfect. It's really important for us to get a handle on how many people are experiencing homelessness, to be able to see if policies are working, to see regions that might need more help, to be able to really have a snapshot view of what is going on in this crisis.
So we'll go down this side and count this side.
On this night, San Francisco identified 405 homeless families. That's over 1,100 people, 76% in shelters. Nellie and her kids are still waiting for their shelter number to be called up.
And if you didn't have this RV, where would you be?
Creo que en la calle estuviera.
San Francisco breaks down homelessness into 3 categories: families, unaccompanied youth, and single adults, 25 and older. The focus remains on those single adults. They make up 73% of homeless in the city.
How long have you been out here?
I've been out here since 2018. I got out of prison in 2018. I'm originally from Fresno, but I came here from prison because my halfway house got closed out. So they gave me 2 choices, Oakland or San Francisco.
Who did?
My PO.
Our best data on this indicates that about 70% of people experiencing homelessness in our community were housed in San Francisco before they became homeless here.
What about housing? Are you trying to get into housing now?
Absolutely. I got permanent housing coming within the next 45 minutes. You know, so I'm here for that reason. I mean, I went to talk to the hot team. The hot team told me, you know what, you're in luck. And we have a spot for you now.
Individuals experiencing homelessness make up about 80% of the homeless population. So there are certainly more corresponding units for them. But what we really try to do is right-size the system for the need. So make sure that the family and youth systems are growing to meet the needs of that population.
In the last 2 years, the number of homeless persons in families in San Francisco has increased by 82%.
One too many women and children unhoused. Whether it's a mother of 2 or a mother of 1 that is unhoused and can't get into shelters because they are at capacity. It means there's not enough beds and/or services available for women and children to be housed.
How many families are you having to turn away every week?
In this week, we've had to turn 3 families away, connecting them to the resources that we have to connect them to, the agencies. They're all saying, we're sorry, Jermaine, but we are at capacity.
San Francisco, like many big cities across the country, has struggled to manage its homeless crisis. The city gave us a rare look into their homeless encampment resolution operations. They connect with people who sleep in tents and doorways. The HOT team, or homeless outreach team, offers housing. Those who refuse housing have to gather everything they own and move their items somewhere else.
Our purpose is just trying to, let the clients know what's happening. We do that about a week and a half in advance to let them know, hey, this is a resolution is happening. We're going to be coming with, the services. The DPW is clearing debris of items that, obviously are garbage or things that have been discarded by the clients. So we're just cleaning the street.
This is every day?
Every day.
How many times have you guys been here?
This is our 17th time this calendar year that we've been on this street segment.
Is it working?
Every time we are able to really assist people in changing their lives, get them into shelter and housing. The work we do here is very important, but we haven't been able to resolve this situation here, and that's troublesome to us.
To understand why San Francisco does these sweeps, we have to revisit how it got here. It's the result of a multi-year legal battle that once prevented the city from moving encampments altogether.
What we're trying to do with this lawsuit is get the city to stop abusing people's basic rights. We're trying to get them to stop illegally confiscating property and criminalizing them when they have no choice but to be on the street.
In December of 2022, the San Francisco Coalition on Homelessness sued San Francisco, alleging encampment sweeps violated the constitutional rights of the unhoused.
We're not saying they need to have enough shelter for everyone. We're saying that they need to provide specific individuals with shelter.
Individuals who have practical, which I understand you're not.
A federal judge issued an injunction that prevented San Francisco from enforcing laws against public camping or sleeping on sidewalks without first offering shelter.
And the fact that the courts have crippled our ability to do our jobs, to help get people into shelter, is criminal. If we have a place for someone to go, they need to go. There has to be accountability.
Then, in July of 2024, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned San Francisco's injunction, allowing the city to conduct homeless encampment sweeps, but only if it allowed homeless individuals to recover their personal property.
Well, at this point, we've had some clarification from the Ninth Circuit that we can outreach and offer people shelter. We've always had that right, and we've had a lot of success with that. What we've been enjoined about is threatening or enforcing a series of state and local laws that make it a nuisance offense to illegally lodge here.
During this time, San Francisco was keeping a close eye on the biggest Supreme Court case on homelessness in 40 years.
This case does allow us to address some of the more difficult situations. We've had challenging homeless encampment situations where individuals have refused offers of shelter and services.
The case originated in Grants Pass, Oregon. That city began citing people and fining them more than $200 for sleeping in public.
You can't just criminalize somebody who doesn't have any place to live.
On June 28, 2024, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the city of Grants Pass. This changed things. Now cities can enforce laws that criminalize homelessness by arresting, targeting, or citing anyone for sleeping outside on public property.
This time at least someone gave us a warning, instead of just like.
After the Supreme Court ruling, San Francisco ramped up enforcement of illegal street camping. Mayor London Breed promised more aggressive sweeps. Police officers got the green light to arrest or cite anyone for lodging in a public or on a private property without permission.
As a result of this decision, we are able to enforce the law and to clear the encampments off the street now.
And this is the aftermath. The sidewalks are now clear, and in the 3 hours that we've been here, 13 people were placed into housing, 3 into permanent housing. The city says today was a success, but they still have many alleys to go to.
We take clients directly from encampments to shelter.
How many are you taking here today?
Today, we're getting ready to take 2. At the end of operation, we'll have transported 7. That's a success for us. One day at a time.
While San Francisco is now allowed to address street camping, Families who are homeless living in RVs have now become a target for sweeps.
We're asking you today to allow the Director of Transportation to restrict overnight parking for large recreational vehicles under very specific circumstances and make the violation towable after offers of shelter have been made.
Several blocks from the Pacific Ocean, a new community of RVs has exploded, and residents who live in the houses nearby are pleading for the city to intervene.
A lot of people got pushed here because of the pandemic and because, like I said, there's not enough parking somewhere else. And if they park in the neighborhoods, they get kicked out.
We're constantly getting calls from people from the area, from all over San Francisco, because I mean, it's no secret. Once you pass through Lake Merced, you're going to see a wall of RVs.
The San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency's Board of Directors questioned the city's Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing and their approach to tackle the number of RVs parked on these streets.
We have 130 families that are unsheltered, 90% of whom are in vehicles, based on our 2024 point-in-time homeless count.
Last question, Madam Chair. Do you have any data on how many people are turning you down among the RV community?
I don't have that data. It's specific to the RV community because we're doing outreach across the board throughout the city.
Look, all I can say is it would be helpful to have that information.
Every 3 months, the Healthy Streets Operations Center do a citywide canvass, and we find 500 to 600 tents recently, but 1,000 vehicles that seem to be occupied.
Many who live here work multiple jobs to protect themselves and their families from ending up in tents or on sidewalks.
After the coronavirus, the working is down. My check is like 200, 300, so I can't to pay the rent.
Where do you work?
Housekeeping, motel.
What do you do for work?
I work now for Instacar. No have no money. I stay in RV.
Todos trabajamos.
We all have jobs.
En trabajos de medio tiempo, algunos.
Part-time, some of them.
Ya me entiende. Y somos personas que nos dedicamos a trabajar.
And we're people who like to work.
A hacer algo bueno en el país.
Jamil Gonzalez moved to the U.S. a year ago. He lives in the RV with his 4 cousins. His aunt and uncle live in the RV parked right behind him. His uncle bought the RV during the pandemic and moved here with his 3 kids. Then there's Alex, who moved to the U.S. from Brazil. His son bought the RV for $8,000.
¿Y cuál es tu trabajo? What's your job?
Lyft.
Lyft. You're a Lyft driver.
Yo también, Lyft driver.
¿Y tu carro dónde está? Where's your car? You can see it from your bedroom.
Sí.
This part of the San Francisco Bay Area is among the most expensive places to live in the country. Living here is about 18% more expensive than the overall United States.
We know that rates of homelessness in a community vary directly based on the cost and availability of housing for the lowest income households. As rents go up, homelessness goes up.
According to a report by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, a Bay Area worker needs to make nearly $65 an hour or $134,000 a year to afford rent.
There are these new entrepreneurs that buy these at auction and set them up and try to rent them out.
Jose Rivas bought this RV for $12,500 and lived in it for 4 months. He recently moved out and now is looking for a tenant.
Why did you buy this RV?
Because I want to save some money. That's why.
Yeah. And did you save money while you were here?
Yes. Just while I was here, I saved money.
How much?
Maybe like $10,000.
$10,000?
$10,000. Now I try to fix it up, and then I'm gonna sell it.
Are you trying to rent it as well?
Yeah, maybe if somebody come over, I will rent it.
How much would you rent it for?
500, 600, depends.
And how much are you planning to sell it for?
1,300.
Jose is not the only one trying to make money off of this situation. We met Ronnie, who bought an old ambulance and turned it into a sanitation truck.
I figured, why not? Why not start my own business, make money, and at the same time help the community?
He says there's a market for this. He has anywhere between 10 to 15 customers here. They are all his neighbors.
You know, many of these RVs are, parked on the street. There are no hookups to sewage or clean water. And so many of these families have been very responsible, driving all the way as far as Redwood City to dump their sewage, but not all of them are families that are doing that. And so when they're dumping on our city properties or SFC properties. And this is really close to Lake Merced, which is our backup water source during an emergency. That's a concern for us.
This is a really big challenge for people living in their vehicles. There's only one dumping station in San Francisco, and so this is one of the major challenges that face families and individuals living in RVs.
San Francisco is the second most densely populated city in the United States. It doesn't have the infrastructure or the space for a large RV community, but the city is trying.
We at HSH are just beginning that process. To look at sites that may be accessible for folks with RVs.
The first safe parking site opened in January of 2022. This is the Bayview Vehicle Triage Center. It can hold up to 150 vehicles, but a lack of electricity limited that number to just 35. Still, the city sees this as a potential solution, even though they're planning to close it.
The city is really thinking about opening more safe parking places, so clean, safe, service-enriched facilities where people living in their vehicles could park, receive services, and work towards permanent housing.
Is the city actively looking for sites?
Yes.
How many?
We have funding for one additional site right now, and we're looking for a place for it.
How many people could park their vehicles there?
It'll depend on the size of the property that we find.
If the city takes away RVs from families, the alternative is grim, living on the streets. In one part of the city, families are worried about running out of water and parking. But not far away in the Tenderloin, those living on the streets worry about running out of the illegal drugs they say help them cope with this crisis.
These guys over here on the corner, the three guys with the hats smiling, they're drug dealers. I chose drugs over my family, and that's what led me to my homelessness. And for the next 6 months, I slept almost every night on Golden Gate Avenue. So you'll come up here on the left. Everybody that you see on the left that's standing up is selling drugs. Everybody that's sitting down is using or holding drugs.
We drove around with Tom Wolf, a recovery advocate who was homeless in this neighborhood.
Like if you're gonna turn right. See, he's mad at you because you're taking pictures.
Tom knows these streets well. He spent 6 months homeless here, struggling with a heroin and fentanyl addiction.
My story began in early 2015. I had foot surgery. I was prescribed oxycodone for the pain, 10 milligram oxycodone tablets. I was given a 30-day supply. I guess you could say I got hooked on them. I started to look for where I could purchase them on the street, and I actually Googled it up. Where can I buy pills on the street in San Francisco? Wow. And it took me to YouTube, and there were several different videos that referred to Pill Hill, which is a Golden Gate and Leavenworth here in the Tenderloin. And so in my walking boot, I drove down to the Tenderloin one day, scared out of my mind, but also dope sick. And I found 5 or 6 different people that were selling a variety of different opioids on the street. And I started purchasing them on the street at $30 a pill. And over the next 2 years, my addiction grew. So at my peak usage, I was using about 560 milligrams of oxycodone a day. I was buying them at $30 a pill. That's $210 a day times 7 days a week. The Department of Public Health in San Francisco offers only about 500 treatment beds. And there's at least 25,000 people in the city that use drugs.
How difficult is it to get help in San Francisco to recover from a drug overdose or just to get off the streets?
I know this sounds crazy, but if you get arrested and you go to jail, they could have you in a treatment bed in 72 hours, right? But if you're out here just on the street, it can take anywhere from 1 to 50 days to access a treatment bed, and you have to do everything yourself. The way I supported my addiction is that I signed up for aid, welfare, general assistance, general relief.
So the government was paying for you to get high?
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that.
In 2023, San Francisco announced a plan that requires drug users to enter treatment before they can get any cash assistance.
When we're talking about housing, we're not just talking about somebody needing shelter. We're also talking about that person potentially even needing drug treatment, mental health treatment. So how is the city tackling those needs?
So in all our shelter programs, we partner with the Department of Public Health, and they have roving medical teams that help people access medical care and substance abuse care in the shelters. And the same is true with our permanent supportive housing. You know, one of the essential components of them is on-site case management.
Fentanyl led to 81% of San Francisco's overdose deaths in 2023. 656 people died of fentanyl overdoses, making it the deadliest year on record. 29% of people who died from a drug overdose did not have a fixed address.
The arrival of fentanyl has changed the game. And we must change our approach because we still are treating this as if we're dealing with low-grade heroin out here. And we're not. We're dealing with a drug that's 100 times stronger than anything we've had out here before.
I do drugs not to sleep, so I can stay awake, so I can go to work the next morning. You know what I mean? And it sucks because when you do crash and burn and go to sleep, you're very vulnerable. Because all your stuff's with you. Everybody around you knows you're tired. They know you've been tweaking, they know you've been up 3-4 days, and they can't wait for you to go to sleep so they can steal everything you own.
Safety is also a major concern for many on the streets, especially women.
How was your life before being homeless?
I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. I was married and everything. So yeah. But my kids are older now, they're with my family, you know what I mean? They know my situation, what's going on, and you know, they're just, I see them almost every weekend because I take the bus to Santa Rosa all the time.
You had to sell your body to shower?
Yeah, of course. A lot of us women have to do that. I mean, we want to shower. That's why I'm thankful for St. Anthony's. On the weekdays since I found this place, I've been coming here for about 3 years now, almost like dedicatedly every day so I can shower.
Tell us about the operation here.
Well, the St. Anthony Foundation has been in the Tenderloin community helping those in need for 73 years now. There's a huge need in San Francisco, and there's a lot of challenges facing our community, from drug crisis to homelessness to just, some folks are just, there's just instability. And so we help to uplift them with 10 plus wraparound services here at St. Anthony's. Everything from medical care to a tech lab with free computer usage to workforce development, job training, and jobs.
St. Anthony's gives out over 1,700 meals every day.
This is St. Anthony's relatively new hygiene hub, where folks are welcome to do loads of laundry. Next door there are showers. As you can see, there's names on the dryers, so folks can put their loads of laundry in and then go across the street to the dining room, get a meal. This is St. Boniface Church. During the day, we call it St. Clair's Care, and it's essentially a safe sleep daytime center for folks in need.
So you can sleep here in the morning, you can eat right next door, and you can shower across the street.
Right. We're trying to provide all essential wraparound services for folks in need right here in the heart of the Tenderloin.
And you can also check your bags.
You can check your bags, which is a much needed service here in the Tenderloin and for folks who are struggling, and then they can pick them up at 1:30.
And then after 1:30, they're out on the streets.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though it's only miles away, life in the Tenderloin couldn't seem farther away for families living in RVs. The reality is, even minimal shelter can slip away. We checked in on Nellie over a week after meeting her. She couldn't afford to rent the RV anymore. Now she's sleeping in her car.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien. Aquí estás durmiendo. You're sleeping here.
Sí. Yes.
Wow. ¿Y tus hijos and your kids?
Los tengo allí por mucho frío aquí.
Okay, you have them with your neighbor because it got too cold.
It didn't take long to notice how dangerous this road is. Nellie is not alone here. Jenny Tong and her husband, along with their daughters, have lived in this RV for 2 years. This is her first time being homeless. They used to rent an apartment before the pandemic. Now, they are all hoping to move into a home soon.
Hemos estado aplicando
We've been applying.
Pero como no calificamos.
Every night, Bianca and her sister Scarlett take care of their cousins, Sergio and Zuleika.
How has it been living here with your cousins?
No, yeah.
It's just a lot of people here, and it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm a student at SF State. I'm a second-year student. I'm majoring in biology. I mostly stay at school the whole day because there's no internet here, so I do my homework over there.
63% of homeless youth are either employed or in school. Every night, Suleika's aunt and uncle turn their dining table and benches into a bed where she can sleep.
I feel grateful because my auntie and uncle made this possible and God did it as well. They put me under a roof, so that's what I'm grateful for. You know, at the same time, I feel bad, but also I gotta be grateful at the same time.
Nellie tried to get into a shelter with her 2 kids. She was told to call back in a week. The city didn't have space for them. This was hard for Sergio to process.
Yeah, but they're too full. That's how many families there are that need a home. And why don't they help? They have all these empty apartments, and then they're building some new apartments, and they accept all these homeless people from Golden Gate Avenue, but they're not accepting families that are almost on the streets.
We showed Emily Cohen with San Francisco's Homelessness and Supportive Housing Department what Sergio said.
Why not other families that are probably on the streets because of them, because they probably rejected them.
You're upset.
Is he right? He is right in that it takes too long to get anyone into housing. Families are not up against individuals. We're not comparing one to another in order to get housing. I think that that's a common misconception of the system. We recently acquired a 200-unit building for families and an additional 40 units in another building for families. So we have tremendous opportunity right now for families experiencing homelessness to try to move them out of their RVs, off the street, out of the shelters, into something permanent. And he is right, it should be faster. Sergio has a bright future in front of him, and we need to get him the housing he needs so he and his mom can thrive in our community.
At any given time, there could be anywhere between 200 to 500 pending shelter waitlist applications.
For families who are experiencing homelessness, they should come to one of our access points right away. Emergency placements should be available in a day or 2, and then the longer-term shelters may take a little while because of capacity.
Jermaine Bond is on the ground with the St. Anthony's Foundation, helping homeless families every day.
Would you say that there is more need than there are shelters?
Absolutely. There's not enough shelters. There's not enough beds versus the number of individuals that I come in contact with. It's just really status quo.
This week, how many did you turn away?
This week was 3, sadly. Not that they don't want to help, because they do. They just don't have the beds.
So where do they go?
Where do they go? They try it again the following day. They sleep in their cars, or they'll find a safe space in an alley someplace, which is not ideal to rest for that night, hopefully with safety. A mom staying up, not going to sleep because she has to protect her child.
So our shelter system is about 91% full. And so, there is a little bit of wiggle room. We would like the shelters to be 90 to 95% full, so we always have some beds available to address situations just like the one you're speaking of.
What should San Francisco do today?
Have a strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years, starting today, that is going to ensure housing for mother and children, no matter the cost.
San Francisco has over $1 billion budget for housing, for homelessness. That's not enough?
San Francisco has one of the most robust homeless response systems. And unfortunately, we have not reached the scale we need to intervene as quickly as possible for every family or individual experiencing homelessness. Solving the housing and poverty challenges that people face in San Francisco is an expensive endeavor, and it is not going to be solved inexpensively.
Me da mucha tristeza porque ellos les da tristeza también. Siento yo al verlo. Algo bien difícil por la situación
en que estamos pasando. Buenas noches, familia. Los veo al ratito, ¿ok?
A good night's sleep means leaving her children in the RV and sleeping in her car. About a month after we met Nellie, they finally got into a shelter.
We went to a shelter that used to be a hotel. And we're moving all the stuff that we have, half our clothes, and we can now sleep in the place with our mom. And she doesn't have to sleep in the car anymore, freezing cold. We are officially leaving.
Social workers designate a laundromat as a meeting point for families selected to move into a hotel turned shelter. Here, families are given money and detergent to wash their clothes before they can move into a shelter.
This is the address?
Yes.
Oh, okay. When I finish, I'll go there?
Yeah, when you finish, call us. Or when your clothes is in the dryer.
So
when mom's clothes is drying, tell her to call us, okay?
Tell her to call the number that I called her. Okay, thank you.
If you need anything in the meantime, all you got to do is okay?
There are other families here in the same situation.
A lot of people that's going through it, and especially for mothers, it hurts, you know? So I really pray that we all can get some type of help. Seriously, because it's not easy.
Solkita Duplessis and her 6-year-old son, Marvin, have been homeless for 5 months, sleeping in her car.
Basically, I would park over here in Safeway area in the Fillmore district, or I would go to the what's that called, hospitals, parking lots, or anything like that. The beach. I mean, just basically anywhere I could find by a park. I mean, just anywhere. You have to just feel some type of safety, even though it's not really safe out here in San Francisco.
Solkita says she was waitlisted for housing when she called for help.
The first thing you have to do now in San Francisco, you have to go through Access Point. That is the main thing for everything. So basically, y'all go down there, or you call them if you have to, and you let them know your situation. They do an intake with you, and then I guess they go by a score or points. You make long story short, if you is severe, like somebody really trying to hurt you, or basically, I hate to say it, would try to kill you, they put you in something faster compared to someone like me who just basically out here looking for help.
The system needs to be easier to navigate for families. People need to be able to access things overnight. We understand those are some of the improvements we're working on making.
In 2023, Solkita left an unhealthy relationship and ended up homeless. 80% of unsheltered women in the U.S. reported abuse and or trauma as a cause of their homelessness. This, according to the National Alliance to End Homelessness.
San Francisco trying to go different resources, trying to figure out what can help. But at the time, they were just saying that it was a lot of homelessness going around. So they just kept on saying, call back, call back, call back. And I'm just like, man, you understand, I'm homeless with a 5-year-old son in the car, and it's not possible to live in that. I just kept on going down to these resources, begging them, calling around, and then one day they finally called me and told me that they have something available, and I ran straight to it.
Going to this laundromat is the step many families hope for, a sign of a fresh start towards permanent housing.
He went on up to something better, so I just hope that he continues believing in me and knowing that his mommy got his back. Yeah, his mommy got his back no matter what. So yeah.
After all of the families finish washing their clothes, they get the green light to go to the family shelter. They are among the lucky ones today. They will get to sleep indoors tonight. This is Nellie's temporary home. San Francisco leased this hotel and turned it into a family shelter. The St. Anthony's Foundation owns this building. If the beds are full, staff places the family's name on a wait list. Operators work with families to find them stable housing, a process that can take a long time.
On average, it can take anywhere up to a year and a half to someone to become permanently housed. You have your transitional housing, and that's just what it is. It's transitional. I'm here for a moment. But to obtain permanent supportive housing, it's a year to a year and a half, which is ridiculous.
For those who find themselves without a home, the struggle to find shelter can be long and complicated. But there's hope. Despite all the obstacles that lay before them, some find it. Outside of St. Anthony's, Rose is hopeful after several years of being homeless.
I have an appointment again on the 28th of this month, so I'm hoping everything will work out with that. And then hopefully if I do get approved, that, I could try to get in some housing.
Solkita was placed into housing and the city is subsidizing 1 year of rent. She's looking for a job.
I'm happy for today, but I'm still, sad, and I'm praying for my other people who's out there going through the same situation as me.
Jenny Tong and her family eventually received help from the city to move out of their RV. The nonprofit Hamilton Families granted them a housing voucher for $2,450 a month for 2 years. They live in a one-bedroom apartment now. After several months in a family shelter, Nellie and her kids moved into an apartment. Compass Family Services is subsidizing 70% of the rent. To help this space feel like home, a local nonprofit is giving Nellie furniture. For Nellie, this is a long way from living in an RV and her car.
So happy for you, Nellie.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so whose room is this?
This is my room, but it's not ready yet, but almost ready. I got my bed. I'm so happy. This is my room.
We were there when Nellie FaceTimed with Make It Home Bay Area. She wanted to thank them.
This is Nellie.
Hi. I want to say thank you so much for everything. I like it. Thank you so much.
We're so happy to hear that, and we're so happy that we could help, and I hope that you enjoy it, and it makes it feel a little bit more like home.
Thank you.
How good does it feel to finally have an apartment?
It feels good actually, because I can finally shower good with no hard pressure, and I can finally cook. We couldn't take it no more. We were paying $800 for an RV that doesn't really work. The battery kept dying. We had to pay gas for that generator. We had to go dump out everything, and we still had to pay. I don't think anyone could live like that.
Sergio and Zuleika now have friends in the neighborhood and finally have quiet nights to sleep.
Do you like it here?
Yes. And I can go outside and play, and we can do whatever we want. And peaceful, relaxing sleeps.
I don't even want to be disrespectful. I just, can y'all do it the minute they tell you, or something, it sometimes takes months or years just to get here. The city of San Francisco, they can change a little bit, they can hire the right people to do the right job. If they can run a little faster on the process, make more shelters for people that are on the streets.
The city's homelessness and supportive housing department estimates 3 people become homeless for every 1 person it houses. San Francisco's goal is to reduce the number of people who are unsheltered by 50% and the number of people experiencing homelessness by 15% by 2028. Over 4,000 people are homeless on the streets of San Francisco every night.
but we can't continue to punt this decision. And so we are urging the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing to find a site, to find the housing for these families so that we can move forward with enforcing. Because we know as soon as we, move someone off the street, another RV is going to take that spot.
The crisis of homelessness is devastating in our community as well as communities around California and the country.
I do believe there is a solution to homelessness, but I'm one person, right? I'm one individual. So things can change if the powers to be via the city will look at things a little differently and actively listen to those who are on the ground serving the families every day.
Yeah, a lot of food. I think it's not real, but it's real. And so beautiful. I like it.